One of the most important influences on Kanan Stark was not his mother, was not the streets, and was not his uncles, but a man named Breeze. Because sometimes in the streets, the people you barely notice are the ones teaching you the most dangerous lessons. And for Kanan Stark, every interaction shapes the man he eventually becomes in the original Power. Clearly, Breeze made an impression on Kanan. Immediately on his first visit to Ghost, Kanan reminded Ghost of what happened to Breeze more than 10 years later. Others that kept Breeze's name in the universe before we met him are Tommy, Tariq, and Ghost, all who received lessons from the teachings of Breeze, although Tariq's was indirectly. Because before Kanan became one of the most feared men in the streets, before he went to war with James St. Patrick, before he helped raise Tariq St. Patrick into the next generation of killers, Breeze shaped the way Kanan thought about power. We haven't fully seen Breeze teaching street knowledge yet in Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. But if you know the lore of the Power universe, you already know. Breeze was the mentor, the teacher, the street philosopher who represents what Kanan would become. Hello, Power veterans. Lady Vet here with a video breaking down the critical yet dangerous lessons Kanan learned from Breeze and how those lessons slowly turned him into the Kanan we met in Power and eventually destroys everything around him. First things first, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, tap that like button, and share your comments below. One of the first things that Breeze teaches Kanan is something his mother never fully allowed him to learn: real power in the streets, the real street code, the unfiltered version of the streets, independence. Rock always tried to manage Kanan's exposure to the game. She wanted him close, protected, and controlled, and she did this through methods of strategy and calculations. She wanted Kanan close to guide him, and she knew that Kanan had a history of messing things up. And so Breeze taught Kanan that the streets don't care about you, your age, your family, or your intentions. Breeze represents freedom, independence, and street authority without parental control. And for a young man like Kanan, that type of power is incredibly attractive because Breeze isn't just respected, he's feared. So Kanan learned that fear builds power faster than love ever will. Breeze represents a man operating in his own terms. In the streets, independence is power, and Kanan begins to realize that if he wants real respect, he can't stay under his mother. This thought process becomes extremely important later in the timeline because the adult version of Kanan Stark becomes one of the most independent players in the Power universe. He answers to nobody, but wanted everyone answering him. Kanan learned this mindset from watching people like Breeze operate freely in the game. Kanan is young and thirsty to be on top, to do it better than his mother. He begins understanding through Breeze that power is taken, not given. Loyalty is temporary. Fear is currency, and trust is a weakness. And this mindset transforms Kanan from a teenager learning the game into the ruthless figure we meet later in Power. Breeze teaches Kanan the importance of reputation, that reputation is everything. Money can disappear, territory can be taken, but reputation lives forever. Breeze understood that better than almost anyone. He built a name that carried weight in every room he walked into. People didn't just listen to Breeze, they obeyed him, and Kanan watched him closely. Matter of fact, Branford Kanan was not just a student, he was a teacher to Ghost, Tommy, Sean, and Tariq. Later, in their work together, evidence showed Kanan's imprint. After being on the inside, Kanan had two additional students. His own son, Sean, who failed as a student and didn't live to talk about it. And then there was Tariq St. Patrick, who succeeded and missed two of Kanan's bullets in the process. Unfortunately, Tariq set Kanan up for Tasha.
Tell him, Rick. Show him what a real killer look like. I know what he's talking about.
Another lesson Breeze represents is how fragile trust is in the streets. In the real world, trust is built on loyalty and honesty. But in the drug game, trust is built on power and leverage. Breeze exists in a world where alliances shift constantly. People work together today, then set each other up tomorrow. And this teaches Kanan one of the coldest lessons he'll ever learn. Trust is temporary. If you watch the original Power series, the adult Kanan never fully trusts anyone, not even Jukebox.
Trust me. Trust me.
One of the biggest transformations in Kanan's life is his shift from emotional kid to cold, ruthless strategist. Initially, in raising Kanan, he's still very human. So much so, he had a hard time understanding that D-Wiz died so that he could live. During this time, Kanan believed in friends, family, and loyalty. Breeze taught him that survival requires emotional distance. People like Breeze exist in a different mindset. They understand that emotions can destroy you in the game. Feelings cause hesitation. Hesitation causes mistakes, and mistakes get you killed. Emotional detachment becomes one of Kanan's defining traits later in life. When we see him in power, he's capable of doing things that most characters couldn't imagine because emotionally, he is already disconnected.
Over your ass about the stroller hit. I shot that nigga for you, man. I'm proud of it. Now my crew can take over that territory. Single-handedly solve this little power problem you have. You see that, T? I wasn't worried. Hands all over that shit.
When we meet the older Kanan in power, his reputation alone is enough to make entire crews nervous. This mentality starts forming under Breeze. Breeze isn't just the street boss. He teaches Kanan the philosophy of the game. He's a thinker. In the lore of Power Universe, Breeze is known for spending time watching movies, game shows, and studying strategy. He's a different type of street leader, less emotional, more philosophical. And that mindset rubs off on Kanan because Breeze treats the streets like a game board. Players, moves, sacrifices, winners and losers. Once Kanan stops seeing situations emotionally and starts seeing them strategically, everything around him changes.
Couldn't go some turn me out with killing him. Well, we know the rules to the streets is who's kids.
Breeze teaches loyalty, but also its limits, because Breeze believed in loyalty, but he also understood the brutal truth of the streets. Loyalty only lasts as long as power stays balanced. If someone becomes weak or becomes an obstacle, they become expendable. This lesson is critical because it eventually leads to one of the most important moments in power history. The day James St. Patrick kills Breeze.
Love Breeze. I was your age when I killed her. I killed Breeze because he got in the way of my future.
According to the story, Ghost killed Breeze because Breeze refused to change his ways. He was stuck in his habits. He was comfortable, predictable, and that was something that moved Ghost to put him down. But think about the impact that moment had on Kanan, the student watching another student eliminate the teacher. That moment permanently reshaped how Kanan views loyalty. Because if Ghost could kill Breeze, then anyone could betray anyone at any time. So Breeze unintentionally teaches Kanan the danger of becoming too comfortable in the game. Breeze had power, he had respect, he had control, but he also had routines. He was a creature of habit, predictable patterns, and in the streets, predictability can be fatal. Ghost used the weakness, and Kanan learned to never get comfortable. And Kanan believed that no one is untouchable.
I knew officer. I thought you knew better than that some shit, man. Sorry. You seen when? Nah. I won't do it. I'm in.
Now, ironically, that same lesson later shapes how Kanan manipulates Tariq, because Kanan understands something most people never figure out. The game rewards those who adapt. This ultimately saved Tariq's life twice. All in all, Breeze creates the blueprint for Kanan and a template of lessons for his students. If you really study Kanan Stark, you can see pieces of Breeze everywhere. The calm thinking, the strategic patience, and the willingness to eliminate obstacles. It all began when Kanan was introduced to Breeze. When Breeze spoke to Kanan, he crossed his hands in front. When Kanan responds, he then crossed his hands in front. But Kanan eventually becomes even more ruthless than his teacher. He watched Breeze fall, and he learned to never let anyone have the power to remove you from the board. So Kanan becomes more paranoid, more manipulative, more dangerous. And by the time we meet him in power, he's no longer just a student of the game. He's one of its most unpredictable players. But the most important lesson Breeze teaches Kanan might actually be a warning. The lesson of consequences. Because every street player eventually faces consequences. The game always collects its debts. Breeze represents a man deep in the lifestyle, a man living inside a system that eventually destroys everyone. And Kanan is watching it all unfold. He sees the risk, the violence, and the paranoia. But instead of scaring him away, it does the opposite. It pulls him deeper into the game. Because the streets don't just punish people, they also reward ambition. And Kanan begins believing he can play the game smarter than the people before him. That belief is the same belief that many street legends had. And it's also the belief that leads them to their downfall. Every major figure in the power universe is shaped by someone before them. First, there was Rock, and she had High Post. Kanan had Breeze and the streets. Ghost had Breeze and Kanan. Tommy had the streets and Kanan and Ghost. Tariq had Kanan. And so the story of Kanan Stark isn't just about crime or being a student or teacher of the game. It's about influence. Every person he encounters shapes the man we meet in power. His mother gave him strategy. The streets gave him survival instincts, but characters like Breeze show him the raw reality of the game. And after that, there's no turning back. Because the biggest tragedy of Kanan Stark is this: he didn't just enter the game, he mastered it. And mastering the streets always comes with a price. A price that was paid by all who came before him. The deeper we look into raising Kanan, neither Kanan nor Ghost were born monsters. They were built, and the streets were one of their teachers. The story of Breeze is one of the most important untold chapters in the Power universe. We heard about Breeze for years. We speculated that Breeze was one of the Mathis brothers, only to find out that he was family of Power OGs Snaps and Pop. What we know is Breeze didn't just run East New York. Breeze didn't just run a crew. He created two of the most dangerous minds in the streets, Kanan and Ghost. One would become a strategic kingpin, trying to escape the life without dying or going to jail. The other would become a chaotic force, determined to control the life and those around him. Both were shaped by the same teacher.
I'm telling you, G, wait on you to prove yourself. Show me you got the hustle. Get in there. Take the shots. Take the shots.
The biggest questions for Raising Kanan fans: who will we see Breeze as? Will we see the mentor who inspired students who became legends? Or the man who influenced accidentally or intentionally created monsters? The floor is all yours. Let me know what you think. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm out.